it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we have a sparkly project ahead of us. I'm starting off with a piece of, I think this is roughly 4 by 5¼ or 4¼ by 5½, just somewhere around there. I have this little stacked set of heart dies and I'm going to choose the second to largest and then I think it is the second or third to smallest, but just whatever works for you, whatever sizes you have. And again, you don't have to do hearts, you could do any shape, any stars, any flowers, anything that you want to pop in here. And I am just roughly drawing around these just with a pencil. This will all be covered up so you won't be able to see it at all. It's just a guide for me. Now at this point I wasn't 100% sure how much I would be cutting out or how much I would be using of this, so the process is not as streamlined as it could be, but you'll see that as we go along in the video. I am using some double-sided adhesive, and for glitter I do really like the scrapbook.com one. However, there are lots of amazing double-sided adhesives that would work really well here. I am just pulling back a little bit of that release paper there, and you can see that's how I line my pages up. I keep it on the side that does have the release paper, line it up, and then I press the other side which I have exposed. Now I had my hearts a little bit towards the top of my page, and actually I decided that I would cut off that extra little bit down the bottom because I didn't need to cover that in glitter just at the minute. So I'm just trimming this little panel down ever so slightly because at the time I thought this whole panel was going to go behind it, but I changed my plan as I go. I have these glitters here these are from Elena Crafts, and there's 4 different shades. So they basically go through from dark blue to a silver color. And I am going to just pull back a little bit of the release paper. At the beginning, I thought that I would do really harsh straight lines. So that's why I peeled back the release paper and then folded it over so that I could get a really nice sharp line. However, again, I end up changing that, but that's okay too. I am just peeling back a bit of the paper and then I am going to tip the rest back into the jar so that I get as little contamination as possible. And then I'm using a palette knife to really push that into the adhesive. I do not want any glitter to come off at the end of this project. I am not one of those people who likes receiving a card in the mail and getting glitter all over my hands and things. So that's what I want for my recipient as well, to not have to worry about that when they get this card. Now here's where I changed my mind and I dip my finger into the glitter and kind of just make that line a little bit more gentle. It doesn't really matter in the end, even though that is probably the harshest line between the 2 glitters. It doesn't kind of become too obvious. And then you can see here that the lines are pretty just all over the place from here, but I've added 3 glitters at this point, and then I pull the very last of the paper off and add the final silver glitter down the very bottom. Now it's really important to burnish the glitter on and make sure that you do that really, really well. As I said, I don't want any glitter coming off, and it becomes a lot more shiny and sparkly when you burnish it as well. Then I have this piece which I cut off at the beginning, that excess piece I had down the bottom, and I actually kind of had an idea in my mind but wasn't sure if I would ending up using it, so I just scattered glitter on half of it. I think I used the second to darkest blue, and then I used the second to lightest blue to do the other side of that tiny little strip, because again I didn't know which color I wanted to use, but I figured whilst I had all of the glitter out I may as well use it. And you can see here where I go to burnish it on this piece, it gets much sparklier once I have flattened it all out and made it really nice and stick down. I use a little bit of a damp cloth to go over and just try and catch any little spear sparkle bits, and you can see it's really shiny. Now we're going to carry on and create the front of the card. So this is definitely a 4¼ by 5½ inch card front here, made of 80-pound Nina Solar white paper. I'm using a little bit of Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I just have the stencil here. I did try and get lots of the ink off my finger dauber because I did not want this background to be dark. I want it to be really, really light. And in fact, here when you kind of look through it, it looks like there's not a lot of color on there, but when I take it off, there is plenty for what I need. Again, at this point, I thought I was going to have that bottom bit stay clear on the card, so that is why I didn't want it to be have that stencil pattern included. Now I'm going to die cut out some of the hearts, and again, this is where this ruler comes in handy. It is the Tim Holtz ruler where it has on one side the 0 is centered in the middle, and then it has 6 inches either side of that, and then the other side is just a normal 12-inch ruler. It also has one side that has a metal edge to it, which has been super handy when I use my craft knife as well. So I am loving this ruler at the moment. And then I'm going to die cut out these hearts. I have the large one in the middle and then the smaller one there. Then obviously because I only had one die, I need to go back and die cut the other little heart, again lining it up using the same ruler to make sure it's at the same space as the other one on the other side. And then those hearts that I've cut out actually I end up using later on as well in a different video, but I just wanted to show you here. This is kind of a little bit hard to see, but I'll put it on some paper in a minute. I'm using the Hickory smoke with the finger dauber to go around the inside of the hearts. Now, it doesn't look like it makes a lot of difference here when I'm just holding it, but in a moment I'll pop it up against some white paper and you can see that the heart on the left and the one in the middle are nearly done, and the one on the right is not done. So you can see it makes so much difference just with those little details. So they're definitely worth taking the time to do, in my opinion. And then once I finished that, as I said, this card took a couple of turns to it because I knew what I wanted. I roughly knew what I wanted, but I wasn't quite sure how to get to the end result. So I ended up cutting this bottom bit off as well. Again, I wasn't sure with the earlier one with the hearts where I used the glitter if I would end up needing the whole page. So I kind of end up cutting the same amount off the bottom of both of those. And then I'm just using the same Hickory smoke to edge the top and the bottom of this little piece of paper, which will go on my card base. Now, I will try and link any of the products that I've used today down in the description box below. Sometimes I'm not able to link them just because they have been discontinued, but hopefully you can have a look around in your stash and find something that will work for you if you are inspired to create a card similar to this. And if you do want to share some of the cards that you create and you are inspired by some of the videos that I've done, our Facebook page is a really great way to do that. So I will leave a link to that below this video as well. Now this is my favorite sentiment stamp set at the moment. This is the Altenew Sentiment Strips 2 stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp it out in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a really nice dark pigment ink which stamps really well for finer detail with things like sentiments and detailed stamps. So this is definitely one of my go-to inks that I use all the time, and in fact I would go so far to say is every single card I use it on. Now I have got the sentiment that says sending healing hugs. I have been needing quite a few of these at the moment, sadly. However, I find that the cards that I make, hopefully you are able to add whatever sentiment you want to them, because I feel like lots of them are very versatile. So that's my aim when I'm card making, that I can change up the sentiments to suit the occasion, but not necessarily have to change the style of the card I am making. Now this is the really thin foam tape from Elena Crafts as well, and it fits nicely behind my tiny little sentiment strip. I did stamp my sentiments on the little strip that I cut off from the bottom of the hearts there. You can see that I have put foam tape all around the back of the hearts, and I was just going to pop this straight down on this glitter panel that we made. Now it was kind of like an ombre blue glitter panel, but when I'm sitting here I'm like, no, not quite what I was thinking. I've got a little bit better idea. So I end up changing my mind just a little bit, just in time before I stuck everything down. And I am going to cut up that glitter panel into the 3 different pieces of the hearts, and I've just kind of laid it down there gently so I can see where I need to cut in between that narrow space between the hearts. And I will change the direction of the kind of ombre glitter so that they're not all going in the same direction. And I definitely like that look better. I saved it just in time. So all of the adhesive is exposed on the back of the hearts already, so it's not too tricky. All I have to do is take those glitter pieces and then pop them right there. And obviously with the way that I cut the glitter piece, it's already predetermined as to which way up the ombre will go on these hearts. But I just place it behind, and then I'm not too worried. I'm more lining up the ombre to make sure that there's all 4 colors in the middle there, and then I can use my scissors to cut away any of those pieces that will stick out from behind my main panel. And I also don't want anything to be showing in the hearts next door, so a little bit of trimming required, but nothing that we can't handle at all. And then for the little hearts, I will obviously turn the ombre around, so the silver is at the top for the big one, and then the dark blue will be at the tops for the little ones. Now, you don't have to make your own glitter paper here, obviously. Some pattern paper or anything at all that you have in your stash, have a look through and see if there's some nice patterns or nice papers that you've been hoarding, and they would go really well behind the hearts or the shapes that you have die cut out. And you could even do different colors or create different colors of glitter, or that would be cool if the hearts were all different colors. You could have so much fun with this design, and there's lots of different options available. So once I've got all of my little hearts, I'm going to use some liquid glue on the back of the bits that are still exposed, and I will also put some liquid glue onto the foam tape that is exposed, and that way I will be able to slide this around to get it in the perfect position. So if you have kind of foam tape and you put it down the wrong place, often it can be hard to move around or change your mind. So that's why I often put liquid glue on the back of my foam tape as well. Now, I did end up using that extra piece of glitter that I created earlier. I cut a really nice thin strip, and then with my sentiment strip, I just made it so there was a small edge there poking out the top of my sentiment. And that way it kind of made the card a little bit more cohesive, and the sentiment kind of just wasn't hanging there off the bottom. So I'll add a little bit of liquid glue onto the bottom of the glitter paper that we created at the beginning, and that is my card finished for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this one. As I said, if you would like to share some of your creations with me, I will leave a link to my Facebook page down below. We have an amazing, amazing supportive group of people there, and I really look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you then. Bye!